Welcome back to my YouTube channel Ritika's Bright Corner. This is the second chapter of Science Class 8 Microorganisms Friend and Foe. We are going to discuss about this whole chapter in this video. So let's go. The first word microorganisms means micro is tiny and organisms means the living thing. So the tiny living things are only known as microorganisms. Microorganisms are also the other living organisms around us like plants, animals and humans. So these are very small that we can't see them with our own eyes. That's why we use microscopes or magnifying glasses to see them. Now the next part comes like microorganisms are classified into four major groups, that is bacteria, fungi, protozoa and algae. These are the four major groups of microorganisms, and today we are going to define these whole four words with many other diseases and examples. So we are going to just see the diagrams of these topics, and in 2.1 fig you should get the two diagrams. The two diagrams are spiral bacteria and red rot bacteria. Here. So the spiral bacteria has a shape like spiral, that's why it has named like spiral bacteria, and rod has a shape like a rod, that's why it is called a rod bacteria. Now if you go with fungi and algae and protozoa, you will get some more diagrams and the images. So in the next one you will get like viruses. So virus is a new topic here, but they have not mentioned the virus in the classified group of microorganisms. So why do you think that happens? Because viruses are also microorganisms but different from many microorganisms because they only reproduce inside the cells of the host organism, which can be bacterium, plant or any animal. So as you can see here is the whole paragraph about viruses and what are the works of viruses. You should be aware because nowadays we are capturing the coronavirus and you should know about all about viruses in newses, magazines and books. So now we are going to our new topic, that is diseases. There are many diseases caused by viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoa and algae. In bacteria, you should find that the diseases like typhoid and tuberculosis are caused by bacterial diseases, and the malaria and dysentery are caused by protozoa. Serious diseases like polio and chickenpox are also caused by viruses, and the common elements like cold, flu, coughs are also caused by viruses. So as you would know, these are all the main points of the first 2-3 pages. Now let's go and talk about where do these microorganisms live. As you know, virus lives in the host, how like a parasite. Recently you would get the example how like coronavirus lives in a human body only. Bacterium, fungi and etc. are found in any plant, any animal and also any human also. How like one example, fungi is found on roti, bread and etc. The next topic is how are these microorganisms are helpful for us. Actually, microorganisms are used for various purposes. They are used in preparedness of curd, bread, cake and etc. Yes, we also eat microorganisms in the curd, cake and etc. And you would be in shock, the bacterium Lactobacillus promotes the formation of curd only. And the next main topic comes like yeast. Yeast reproduces rapidly and produces carbon dioxide during respiration. This is a very main topic, that yeast produces carbon dioxide for respiration, and bubbles of gases fill the dough and increases its volume. So what are the commercial uses of yeast? The commercial use is for large scale production of alcohol. Yes, yeast is used for making wine and etc. Microbes are also found in field and in the making of acetic acid. The next main topic comes like fermentation. Fermentation, the process of conversion of sugar into alcohol, is known as fermentation. The main point is fermentation process was discovered by Louis Pasteur in 1857. As you can see, here is the diagram of Louis Pasteur. Now, the next main topic comes like the medicinal use of microorganisms. What are these? The medicinal use of microorganisms. The main word comes here is antibiotics. The medicines that kill or stop the growth of any disease caused by microorganisms, such medicines are called antibiotics. Nothing but antibiotics made much immunity in our body, that how like that the diseases can be fought against the immunity power and antibodies. As you would aware that coronavirus is also being defeated by the antibodies, and these antibodies are nothing but the immunity cells that defeat the coronavirus. In vaccines also we get the high amount of antibodies, that's why we would get the much immunity and we would defeat the coronavirus. The streptomycin and tetracycline are some of the known antibiotics which are made from fungi and bacteria. The main point here is these two known antibiotics are made up of fungi and bacteria. There is also a precaution: if we take wrong doses, it may make the drug less effective when you might need it in future. Also, antibiotics take unnecessary may kill the beneficial bacteria in body. The next main topic comes like antibiotics are not effective against flu, cold and etc. The next main person who comes here is Alexander Fleming. So who is this Alexander Fleming and what he had done? In 1929, Alexander Fleming was working on culture of disease using bacteria. Suddenly he found the spores of little green mold in one of his cultural plates. He observed that the presence of mold prevented the growth of bacteria. In fact, it also killed many of these bacteria. From this mold, penicillin was prepared, and in 1929, Alexander Fleming completed the process of making penicillin. So now we would go with the new topic, that is vaccine. Vaccine is one of the main important work here. What is the work of vaccine? When a disease carrying microbes enter our body, the body produces antibiotics. While these are in young people only, elder people have a low quantity of antibiotics. That is why in corona period you would find that old people have the more precautions of coronavirus, because they have more chances to get this coronavirus because they have a low amount of antibiotics or the immunity power in themselves. If the antibiotics are lost in the war with disease, then vaccine are used. After the use of, the body also remembers how to fight the microbe if it enters again. Also, the body fights and kills the invading bacteria by producing antibiotics, and we are protected from disease causing microorganisms forever in the life. You would heard the word chickenpox. How like that only there is a flu caused by viruses is known as smallpox. Edward Jenner discovered the first vaccine for smallpox in 1798. Now we should talk about nitrogen and biological nitrogen fixers. Some bacteria and blue-green algae are able to fix nitrogen from the atmosphere to enrich soil with nitrogen and increase the fertility. These microbes are called biological nitrogen fixers. As you would heard about the rhizobium, you would know that in the plants, if the plant want the nitrogen, the rhizobium help to them to get the nitrogen from the atmosphere. How like that only some bacteria and blue green algae are able to fix nitrogen. The microorganisms decompose the dead organic waste of plants and animals, converting them into simple substances. These substances are again used by plants and animals. This is why, if our body has dead, we should compost it into the soil. And when our body compost, that time microorganisms eat our body and our body decomposed. Microorganisms can be used to degrade the harmful and smelly substances and thereby clean the environment. As you can see in the paragraph as more definitions here, cleaning the environment. So how like microorganisms make many of the diseases, how like that only microorganisms are also our friend and help us in cleaning the environment also. Now we should talk about the harmful microorganisms. Here it is a very main topic and you will get many of the diseases name that is very important to know. Microorganisms are harmful in many ways. Some of the microbes cause diseases in human beings, plants, and animals. Such disease causing microbes are called pathogens. Pathogens are very important word in this topic and you should remember. I should repeat this definition like microorganisms are harmful in many ways. Some of the microbes cause diseases in human beings, plants, and animals. Such diseases causing microbes are called pathogens. Now, pathogens enter our body through the air we breathe, the water we drink, or the food we eat. They can also transmitted by direct contact with an infected person or an animal. As you can see in coronavirus period, these pathogens are only the virus, and if there is an infected person near us, we should not go near that infected person because it could be connected in our body and also the virus can come in our body also. That's why government has influence to keep social distancing about 1 meter. Now now this transmitted process is called communicable diseases. These communicable diseases are 100% sure that is caused by viruses only. How like the some examples are chlorella, common cold, chickenpox, and tuberculosis, and also the current example that is corona. When a person suffering from common cold, it finds droplets of moisture carrying thousands of virus spread in area. And how can we prevent these communicable diseases? we should keep the handkerchief on nose and mouth while sneezing, that the moisture could not be affected in atmosphere. It is better to keep social distancing from affected person. Now, there are some insects and animals which act as carriers of disease causing microbes. As you can see here in the page number 23, there are some insects like housefly, female Anopheles mosquitoes. Housefly sits on garbage and pathogens stuck on its body. If there is a open food in which that flies sit in, can be stick and may cause food poisoning. Also, like that only, female Anopheles mosquito carries the parasite of malaria. This mosquito acts as carrier of dengue virus. We can control the diseases like dengue and malaria by making the area clean and dry, because mosquitoes breed in water only and anywhere in coolers, ponds or vases. Now you would be aware about the two very harmful insects, that is housefly and mosquito. So it gives a thought like we should keep our area clean, that the Anopheles female mosquitoes can't be breed. And houseflies, we should also not eat the open food from the road or the roadside. Now let us talk about some common diseases. Some common diseases affecting humans. So some common diseases are like mode of transmission and few general methods of prevention are shown in the table here. So as you can see in this table, there are some human diseases and causability of microorganism, mode of transmission and preventive measures. You should know these all preventive measures and the mode of transmission, causative microorganisms from the human diseases. So let's get defined and just read the whole table. As you would know, tuberculosis is always causative microorganism by bacteria, and it is done in air only. Measles virus is have a virus and it has a mode of transmission like air. Now chickenpox. Chickenpox is also a virus and it can also done in contact of any person and also done in air. Polio. Polio is also a virus and it is have a mode of air and also the water. So we should take this all prevention by keep the patient in complete isolation, keep the personal belongings of the patient away from there of the others, and vaccination to be given at suitable age. The next human disease is cholera. This cholera is caused by bacteria and done in water or food. Now, typhoid is also a bacterial disease and caused has a mode of transmission in water. To keep this prevention, maintain the personal hygiene and good sanitary habits, consume properly cooked foods and boiled drinking water, and also have the vaccination. Hepatitis B is the another human disease and it is done by virus. Mode of transmission is water. So we should drink boiled drinking water and should have the vaccination. At last we would have the malaria, and this malaria is a protozoa causative microorganism and has a mode of transmission by mosquitoes. Use mosquito net and repellents, spray insecticides, and control breeding of mosquitoes by not allowing water to collect in the surroundings. So these were the common diseases of human caused by microorganisms. Now let's go the plants microbes diseases. The plants microbes diseases are like citrus canker, and it is a bacterial disease and in the air, as you can see in the figure also. Rust of wheat is done by fungi and done in air and seeds. Yellow vein or mosaic of bhindi is done by virus and it is done with the insect. So these were the some common diseases. Now let us learn about Robert Koch. Disease causing microorganisms in animals. Several microorganisms not only cause diseases in humans and plants but also in other animals. For example, anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by a bacterium. Foot and mouth diseases of cattle is caused by a virus. So, Robert Koch in 1876 discovered the bacterium which causes anthrax disease. Now, as you would remember, the plant diseases here, and our new topic starts from here is food poisoning. Food poisoning, the word is very similar to in your life and very hurtful word in your life. When a food becomes sick or poisonous, it is called a food poisoning. Food poisoning could be due of composition of food spoiled by some microorganisms. Microbes that grow on our food sometimes produces toxic substances. These make the food poisoning causing serious illness or even death. So it is important to preserve food to prevent it from being spoiled. So there are many methods given here for the food prevention. Some of the methods are like chemical method, prevention by salting, prevention by sugar, prevention by oil and vinegar, heat and cold treatments, and etc. So let's define the first method, that is chemical method. Salts and edible oils are the common chemicals generally used to check the growth of microbes. This process is called preservatives. We add salt or acid preservatives to pickles to prevent the attack of microbes. Sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfite are common preservatives. Prevention by salting. The second process, common salt has been used to preserve meat and fish for ages. Meat and fish covered with dry salt to check the growth of bacteria. Salting is also for preserving amla and raw mangoes. The next process is preservation by sugar. Sugar reduces the moisture content with inhibits in growth of bacteria which spoil food. Prevention by oil and vinegar is the next process. Use of oil and vinegar prevents the spoilage of pickles because bacteria can't live in such environment. The most important treatment is next, and that is heat and cold treatment. Boiling kills many microorganisms. Similarly, if we keep our food in refrigerator, low temperature inhibits the microbes. Moisture milk can be consumed without boiling as it is free from harmful microbes. The milk is heated up to 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and then suddenly chill and stored. By doing it prevents the growth of microorganisms. This process was discovered by Louis Pasteur. It is called pasteurization. Now, the last is storage and packing. These days, dry fruits and even vegetables are sold in sealed airtight packets to prevent the attack of microorganisms. As you would now know about pasteurization and some of the method for the preservatives. Now let's go to the farmer side, that is nitrogen fixation. Rhizobium is involved in fixation of nitrogen as you have learned before only. In leguminous plants pulses, the rhizobium lives in root of noodles of plants which take it as a symbiotic relationship. Many times nitrogen gets fixed through the action of lightning also. Now let's go to the nitrogen cycle. Our atmosphere has 78% of nitrogen gas. Nitrogen is one of the essential constituents of all living organisms as a part of proteins, chlorophyll, nucleic acids and vitamins. Nitrogen can't be taken directly by plants and animals. Certain bacteria and blue-green algae present in the soil fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into the compound of nitrogen. Once the nitrogen is converted into the usable compounds, it can be utilized by plants from the soil through their root system. So how like this the nitrogen cycle works? Nitrogen is then used for synthesis of plant proteins and other compounds. Animals feeding on plants get these proteins and other nitrogen compounds. So as would you see in the fig 2.10, there is the nitrogen cycle. When plants and animals die, bacteria and fungi present in soil convert nitrogenous wastes into nitrogenous compounds to use the plants again. Certain other bacteria convert some part of them to nitrogen gas which goes back into the atmosphere. As a result, the percentage of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains more or less constant. So, I would find that you should complete the exercise by your own, and I would have completed the whole chapter now. So, thank you very much, and please like and subscribe the channel.